Hello everyone and welcome to game week 5 of the 23-24 PTC Therapeutics Premiership, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, for the opening game of the weekend on Court B, which will be contested between Aspire and Leeds Chariots. John Balding readies himself to kick things off, and I'll bring you the action live. I'll talk about their weekends, what they have in store, how they've fared in the season thus far. And the hopes and aspirations for game week 5. Paul Yates, our central referee, complemented by Ian Harley and Mark Kerrison. Early attacking intent from Aspire, chasing a second consecutive league trophy as McClellan put away, and an immediate goal, absolutely clinical from Aspire, seconds into the first half. Register their first goal. Dan McClellan scoring his 15th of the season, second only to Brad Bates on a very impressive goal tally of 24. So I didn't even get a chance to go through the squads before that opening goal. Leeds Chariots comprised of Jack Britton in goal, adorning that emerald green goalkeeper jersey. In the centre will be Dan Rigby, complemented by wingers of Jack Maxwell and Harrison Taylor. Current league holders Aspire looking to add a second very quickly, comprised of Tom Kelly in yellow, John Balding, Dan McClellan and Brad Bates. As Brad Bates, the league's top goal scorer, fires an effort towards goal just into the side of the Leeds Chariots chair. McClellan across the face of goal, controlled by Jack Britton. Paul Yates with the whistle in his mouth, got very condensed there, but play opened up. Maxwell playing off the side of John Balding's chair. So with this 1-0 scoreline in the favour of Aspire, they will go back to the top of the Premiership standings, having faltered slightly in game week 4. Lost a little bit of ground to West Bromwich Albion, who prior to this game kicking off were a point better off than the Watford-based side. Balding into Brad Bates, who fired it towards that left-hand post. I think Paul Yates has deemed that excessive force from Dan McClellan. So a free kick or goal kick, one of the two, will resume play. Britton into Maxwell. These two met at the very end of game week 4 of the PTC Therapeutics Premiership, the 14th of April to be precise. That one finished 1-1, a very frustrating draw for Leeds Chariots, who looked almost certain to seal the 3 points. A late rally from Aspire saw them rescue a single point. Lewis Harris was sent off in that one, so he is suspended for this morning's game. A huge loss for Leeds. John Balding into Brad Bates. Pick off over to Dan McClellan, locked up in that top left-hand corner. Good work from Jack Maxwell. Harrison Taylor high up the court. Bates, not just prolific in front of goal, his creativity in providing assists has been just as clinical as that. Is beautiful goal involving the 3 outfield players of Aspire. It went from Brad Bates, who I spoke about that creativity, picked out John Balding on the edge of the box, and it was Dan McClellan who guided it over the line. We're talking about that creativity. John Balding now on 20 league assists, the top in the division, second is that of Brad Bates, who's on 17. As John Bolden beautifully fires it down the court, millimetres away from Dan Rigby. McClellan's crossfield ball over to Brad Bates, just wide. But already Aspire showing some real attacking intent as they look to surpass West Bromwich Albion. They've got a tough weekend, a really tough weekend on their hands. Leeds Chariots, of course, their opening game, currently placed in 5th. Next up for Aspire, they play Teesside, currently in 3rd. Their 3rd and final game of the day against Newcastle, currently in 4th. And tomorrow they play West Bromwich Albion, Throssels and West Bromwich Albion. So they're playing 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 7th in the league. John Bolden's just having a slight issue with his tip wheels. They adjusted them slightly a few moments ago, but got a little bit too much lift in that passage of play. Set ball will resume play. Dan Rigby. Over to Maxwell, fires it, goal bound, and John Bolden with a last-ditch save, brilliantly reacted to prevent Leeds half in the deficit. Brad Bates now with the responsibility of turning defence into attack. Down the line. Controlled by Brad Bates beautifully. Onto the edge of the box, a real chance for Bolden. Once again, opts to find Dan McClellan on the left. It's a real trademark of their game. And a rare misplaced pass from John Bolden. Fortunately for him, kept in by Brad Bates. Off the side of Maxwell's chair. Jack Britton, dispossessed by Dan McClellan, trying to guide it in that near post. Doesn't quite come off on that occasion. Goal kick for Leeds. Immediately dispossessed. 1-2 between McClellan and John Bolden. Back to McClellan on the left. Just doesn't quite get the connection for Bolden. So Dan Rigby controls it. Really struggling to break that press. Should they manage to break, as they have done now, they will be able to commit numbers forward. Aspire typically always have their 3 outfield players of McClellan, Bates and Bolden high in attack. It's a high risk, high reward strategy from Bolden. But with that 2-goal buffer, they have some wiggle room to experiment, but they won't want to get complacent. They know all too well that Leeds have fantastic quality. Could really imagine that the next goal will be very crucial and important to the potential overall outcome of the game. Over 8 minutes gone. Leeds Chariots 0, Aspire 2. Dan McClellan with the double. Scored within 10 seconds to open the scoring, as Brad Bates now looks to add a goal to his name. Second, 3 minutes after. Live currently on Court A, also live across the WFA's YouTube. Teesside, who still have some aspirations of upsetting the party and making some ground up on the 2 teams above them, take on Hull in East Yorkshire. So a really valuable game for them to register some points, most importantly goals, because Hull and East Yorkshire struggled significantly since the leap up to the top tier of power chair football. I'll bring the live league standings at the conclusion of this half. But for context, at the top of the division, whoever finishes first, of course, will be crowned champions, with it not being a Champions Cup qualification year. Second doesn't really amount to much. It's more significant towards the bottom of the table, where the bottom two teams will be automatically relegated to next season's championship. As Dan Rigby lines up over to Jack Maxwell, ricochets off Bolden's chair. Tom Kelly covered that post brilliantly, and that's much better from Leeds Chariots, who've steadily grown into this game. A little bit shell-shocked with that early goal, but have grown into it. Without question, their most credible opportunity to score all game, as Maxwell tries to find the minimal gap between Kelly and Bolden. It was probably just a ball-size width. Just nicks off the Aspire defender. Corner kick for Leeds Chariots and Dan Rigby. Jack Maxwell on the edge of the box, who he opts to find. Couldn't quite get the angle, but full credit to John Bolden there to just put Maxwell under pressure. But as I was mentioning, whoever finishes in the bottom two positions of the league will be automatically relegated to the championship. Whoever finishes in 10th will be placed in a playoff fixture on July 13th, where we've had it confirmed that Norwich City will be the championship team comprising that spot. So Brad Bates fires it over to Dan McClellan, who's looking desperately for his hat-trick. Cleared by Jack Britton. Thank you to everyone that are tuning in. Already really great numbers. I'll be keeping an eye on the comment tabs on YouTube as Bolden passes back to McClellan. Back to Bolden. Ricochets off Bolden's chair, goal bound, cleared by Britton. It's nice control by Jack Maxwell there. Should there be any scores, which I think there has been, I'll show you how it currently stands on Court A. You can see that Teesside are a goal to the good against Hull and East Yorkshire. Rigby couldn't quite get the angle on that pass. Second pass, brilliant though. Diagonal splitting pass. John Bolden just having a word with Dan McClellan. I think he wanted a bit more pressure from his number 7 winger. The warning signs are most definitely there. Rigby fires it just wide of that right-hand post. It's turned into a really good game. You can only ask yourself what this fixture would look like, or the scoreline, had Lewis Harris not received that suspension in the two's earlier meeting in the season. Without question, one of the country's leading players, Harris. Can maybe say that it's been a transitioning year for Leeds Chariots with the acquisitions of Maxwell and Harris. I'm excited to see what they can do next season with a full year under their belt. They were tipped by many to be dark horses at the start of this year. Haven't quite hit the height, but it's a project, and one of the most exciting ones at that. Bolden. Closed down by Jack Maxwell, flicks it out to Dan McClellan. He's happy to let that roll out of play. .5 minutes played. Leeds Chariots 0, Aspire 2. Two very early goals for Aspire. Nothing much has happened in the last 10 minutes. Maxwell back to Rigby. Feints to connect with that spin kick. Bolden. Very close to Brad Bates there. Advantage played. Beautiful passing triangles and good advantage from Paul Yates as well to allow that to continue. Beautiful pass over to Jack Maxwell, fires it goal bound. Tom Kelly, as he's done so many times this season, prevented Aspire from conceding. Whereas in years gone by and seasons gone by, it's been pretty much a foregone conclusion as to what player competing in the league will receive the standout player of the week and the Premiership player of the season. I don't think that is necessarily the case this year. I think many could stake a claim at being the recipient of that at our awards evening on July 13th at King Power Stadium. And why I mention this is, for me, should he continue to hit the heights he has done already this season, Tom Kelly, for me, will almost certainly be a consideration for the player of the season. Has provided Aspire with that foundation for them to build upon. And I can almost certainly say without that stability at the back, they wouldn't have achieved what they have done. Aspire, of their 17 games, are yet to lose. They've won 14, drawn 3, and that's why. Them draws are the reason they've faltered slightly. West Brom, of their 17 games, have won 15, even though they've lost a game to the hands of Newcastle United Foundation. Only one draw means they sit a point above, or certainly did sit a point above them at the start of this game. Aspire have made up ground and will sit 2 points above them if they're able to secure this win. They've got 24 or so minutes to do so. 4 minutes off of the half-time break. As Harrison Taylor dispossesses Boulding, guides it towards Tom Kelly, the man in question. Brad Bates supporting the defence now. Very fluid system. There's some contact off the ball as Brad Bates drove into the side of Harrison Taylor. Appeals from Russ Rigby on the sideline. Play continues. Rotated spin kick from Dan Rigby. Trademark to his game. Did find the gap on this bottom left-hand wing. No one there to receive it. McClellan into Boulding, bypasses Harrison Taylor. There's a full complement of substitutes for Aspire. Just to my right, Jordan Williams, Bobby Williams, Rosie Dack and Sally McNeil. One of the only teams, I think, in the National League that bring their full squad of 8. Harrison Taylor has to drop off there. Could have done something a little bit quicker, but play continues. Out for a Leeds Chariots ball. Tough opening start to game week 5 for Leeds Chariots. Following this one, they play West Bromwich Albion at 10 minutes to 12. Tom Kelly controls. Into Boulding, back to Bates. Keeps it in brilliantly. Closed down by Dan Rigby. Wide into the back wheel of Tom Kelly. Should Aspire and West Brom maintain momentum and win their 3 fixtures prior to their final, Aspire and West Brom will meet in what will almost certainly be a title decider tomorrow at 12:45. Do not miss that one. The ball just rolls out of play. McClellan over to Bates, who slight miscommunication between Bates and Boulding. I think he was signalling to Dan McClellan though as to one of the players infringing the rules. Maxwell into the box, didn't quite get the purchase he would have wanted, so didn't trouble Aspire too much. An effort from Dan McClellan, easily saved by Chariots. Back to Bates, into Boulding, over to Dan McClellan, and that is a real big miss for Dan McClellan. An open goal presented himself, but he just couldn't get the connection to force it goal bound. Could have very easily been his hat-trick had he guided that over the line. It remains 2-0 to Aspire though. Final 10 or so seconds approaching. Boulding down to McClellan. He's going to have another attempt at goal. Cleared by Britton into Maxwell. Had the regulation 20 now into additional time. Boulding feints to go to Bates. Switches to McClellan on the right. Just ricochets back between himself and Maxwell. Over to McClellan. Unselfishly back to Boulding. Cleared off the line by Dan Rigby. And that will be the last action of the first half. Leeds Chariots 0, Aspire 2. Dan McClellan in the first 10 or so seconds, opening the scoring before adding his own and his team's second after 4 minutes. Following that, Leeds Chariots grew into the game, had a real good chance of their own. And it was just that late Dan McClellan chance on the far left-hand side of the court in which he should and could have scored his third. But I'm sure John Boulding will be happy with what he's seen. Ultimately, it's just about securing points in pursuit of the league trophy. Let's bring up the league table very quickly. You can see that this win or potential win for Aspire would see them leapfrog West Bromwich Albion, going on to 48 points from their 18 games. West Brom still to play their first game. They're matched on kind of game were prior to this kicking off. So West Brom will have a game in hand. That will be against Leeds Chariots, as mentioned, at 10 to 12. West Brom then play Nottingham before Teesside, Newcastle and Aspire. So very similarly to Aspire, they play second, third, fourth, fifth in the league. They're going to have to probably beat all of them if they are to dethrone Aspire. Leeds Chariots haven't got too much to play for, sitting fifth. They've got 10 points to make up if they were to try and get above Newcastle United Foundation. Live on Court A, Teesside with 3 points in their grasp. They have 20 minutes to see out that win, can limit the gap certainly to second to just 2 points and to first 4 points. Hull and East Yorkshire would need pretty much a faultless weekend if they're to escape relegation. But thank you to all that are joining me. I'll be back very shortly for the second half. Hello everyone and welcome back to what will be the second half in this opening fixture of the weekend between Leeds Chariots and Aspire, currently separated by 2 Dan McClellan goals for the now league leaders Aspire. We've had a switch up at the break. Dan McClellan has come off, Rosie Hodgson taking his place. So Leeds Chariots will have kick-off. Get the thumbs up from both keepers and we are back underway. Rigby over to Maxwell. Didn't get the connection. Boulding there to block the advancement of Leeds Chariots. Good pass, intercepted by Dan Rigby. Really nice passing play. Just trapped by Dan Rigby once again. So quickly go through the teams. Leeds Chariots have Jack Britton, Dan Rigby, Jack Maxwell, Harrison Taylor. Aspire now have Tom Kelly, John Boulding, Brad Bates, Rosie Dack. Over to Boulding. To Dack. To Bates. Really nice play. Tempts the effort and fires the ball between Britton and Rigby. An immediate goal for Aspire. Get confirmation of that third Aspire goal just a minute into this second half. Boulding and Rigby battling away. Leeds with a mountain to climb now. Aspire would have to make up some significant ground across game week 5 if they are to match West Brom on goal difference. Prior to this game kicking off, Aspire had scored 62, conceded just 6, so on plus 56 goal difference. That's now been boosted to plus 59. West Brom on plus 69, so still 10 goals better off with a game in hand to add. But I'm sure Aspire won't want to let it get down to goal difference with them playing West Bromwich Albion tomorrow. It's still very much in their hands. They don't have to rely on that goal difference. And Rosie Dack, absolutely brilliant. I'm not even sure how she did that. Weaved her way round the Leeds Chariots defence. And brilliantly gets her own brace for the game. Leeds Chariots nil, Aspire 4. 2 from Dan McClellan, 2 from Rosie Dack. Must be so reassuring for John Bowen to know that if he can take a player off with so much quality such as Dan McClellan, now a seasoned England international, having represented them at many home nation tournaments and of course the 2023 Fit for Power Chair Football World Cup, that he can look to his bench, Rosie Dack as just one member of that, and know that goals will still be produced. Boulding into Bates. No doubt Bates will want to add to his tally. Currently the league's top goal scorer on 24. Marcus Harrison of West Bromwich Albion on 22, the closest player. But as I spoke about in that first half, not just the 24 league goals for Brad Bates, 17 assists. Nice pass from Tom Kelly, controlled by John Bolden. Bates couldn't quite keep it in. Dack. Bates fired goal bound, trapped by Jack Britton. That trademark arm trailing from Bolden. Quick, decisive play from Aspire. 2-on-1 in favour of the champions. Will they try the boom boom? It looks like they're shaping up to do so. They scored a few this season, most notably I think in game week 1, as Paul Gorman and Russ Rigby just make an adjustment to Harrison Taylor. Leeds Chariots don't have a substitute, with Lewis Harris being suspended on the far side of the court. He currently sitting, but indirect free kick. Boom boom potentially incoming. It just didn't quite sit right for Bolden. He would have wanted it nearer the front of his chair. Looks like we're going to get a second Aspire change. Jordan Williams readies himself to come on. Brad Bates, the player, coming off. Harrison Taylor can't keep it in. Confirmation of the score on Court A in that game contested between Hull and East Yorkshire and Teesside. Teesside currently 3 goals up. Tyler Reeve with the hat-trick in that one. Maxwell not too happy with that. It'll be another indirect free kick for Aspire. And an opportunity to register their 5th. This is a real statement of intent already. If they can add any more, there's no doubt that we have our friends from West Bromwich Albion tuning in to watch their title rivals in action. Well trapped by Jordan Williams, and good work from Rosie Dack as well to flick it off the front of Dan Rigby's chair. 8 minutes of this second half has been played. Maxwell. I think if I'm Leeds Chariots, I'm Paul Gorman and Russ Rigby, looking at their squad. Of their 17 games, they've won 8. So if they can get to that double-digit win figure, it would probably register a very good, successful season in the Premiership. They've only lost 3, and that's a really nice pass from John Bolden over to Jordan Williams. Somehow Dan Rigby was able to prevent that going over the line. It's an almost certain goal for the Aspire number 10. Bolden into Maxwell. So going to be a switch up for Aspire. Looks like Bobby Williams is currently going to adorn the goalkeeper jersey of Aspire. So we might see Tom Kelly leave the court or switch position to an outfield one. I think we'll probably see John Bolden take himself off as well, as they cruise their way to 3 points. There's only a few opportunities in that first half. We saw some quality from Leeds Chariots, and that's a lovely pass, just readjusted in time from Dan Rigby. Look how expansive it is from Aspire, using the full width of the court. No real direction on that pass from John Bolden. I think he knew it, caught in two minds as to whether to pass to Williams, Dack, or maybe attempt an effort himself. In doing so, in that hesitation, it just went centrally with not too much power. But we're probably going to see Sally McNeil and Bobby Williams come on imminently. John Bolden has signalled to the bench that he wishes to utilise a substitute at the next stoppage in play. Jack Britton with the goal kick into Rigby, quickly closed down by Jordan Williams. They break the press well. Jack Maxwell very close to Dan Rigby there. And that's something that comes with time and familiarity. It's that avoidance of 2-on-1s, understanding each other's games, whilst they've established a really good chemistry, Dan Rigby and Jack Maxwell. Sometimes it needs a season or two to really get that intrinsic link. Rigby to Maxwell. Nice pass in play. Out to Harrison Taylor. Would like to have seen him stay in reverse there. And that adjustment to just try and turn round meant that he lost the momentum and potential power on the ball, and also allowed Aspire to readjust. As suspected, Williams and McNeil come on in place of Kelly and Bolden. Let's get confirmation of them substitutes. Bobby Williams' first involvement is the resulting goal kick from that Leeds chance. Down to Williams, who looks like he'll be operating in that central role. So a completely different four that started the game for Aspire. Taylor. Good work from Jordan Williams just to get in front of the ball. Not quite sure what the decision was from the referee there, but a set ball will resume play. – 4-0 to Teesside on court A. Jordan Williams has to be careful there, as does Bobby Williams, who adjusts well to prevent Leeds scoring their first goal of the game. We've got just over 6 minutes remaining. Leeds Chariots 0, Aspire 4. A brace from both Dan McClellan and Rosie Dack. Rigby feints to fire it to Jack Maxwell. McNeil over to Dack. Next up on court B, Manchester United take on Villa Rockets. So Manchester United will want to earn themselves some points in game week 5. They're currently locked on 12 points apiece with Nottinghamshire. They trail Sevenoaks by 2 points, who are currently on 14. Whoever finishes in 10th, as mentioned, as Dan Rigby fires it towards goal, whoever finishes in 10th will be placed in that one-off playoff fixture for one single Premiership placement. Good work from Rigby. Free kick for Leeds to be taken by Dan Rigby. Harrison Taylor in the top right-hand corner. Maxwell congested in the box. Bring up the live league standings very quickly. Certainly for the top 6 teams, you'll see Aspire now top of the PTC Therapeutics Premiership, 2 points above West Bromwich Albion in second, but West Brom with that game in hand as Dan Rigby shapes up to take this free kick into the box, just wide of Harrison Taylor, who can't make contact with the crossfield ball as we approach the final 3 minutes, 17 minutes played of this second half. Unlikely to have too much additional time, and I think I can safely say that Aspire are cruising their way to 3 points in their opening game of game week 5. You won't want to miss Aspire Teesside later on today. Now first versus third in a fixture that could be incredibly significant to the overall outcome of the season as Dan Rigby tries to work out the puzzle that is Jordan and Bobby Williams. Still live to Maxwell, back to Rigby. And they have registered a goal there very late on. Hard to tell from my angle who scored it. I think it will probably go down as a Dan Rigby goal, so we'll put it up as such. Leeds Chariots 1, Aspire 4. Just that miscommunication, but persistent work from Rigby, who's probably been the standout for the Chariots across the fixture. He'll be very important in their following game against West Bromwich Albion. They also play Manchester United, Villa Rockets and West Bromwich Albion Throstle. So some real credible opportunities to secure wins in pursuit of their highest league placement. Over to Sally McNeil. Couldn't quite get the connection. Rigby into Jordan Williams. Bobby Williams into Jordan Williams. Over to Sally McNeil, slightly square. So Jack Maxwell with an opportunity to counter. He's going to try and weave his way round. Bobby Williams forcefully drives it out of play. A strong readjustment from Williams. Maxwell probably thought he was destined to half the scoreline to 4-2. We've had the regulation 20 now, so now into any additional time that has been accrued by Paul Yates. Very late corner kick for Chariots. Maxwell with responsibility. Dan Rigby on the edge of the box. Harrison Taylor unopposed at the back post. Fired into the front of Jordan Williams' chair. High over the heads of all the players. Out for a Leeds Chariots ball. The Aspire subs itching to drive back onto the court and celebrate with their teammates. A well-earned 3 points for them. And that it is full time. Leeds Chariots 1, Aspire 4. A brilliant start to the weekend for the champions. I'll show you the league table and see how that influences things. So that would boost Aspire onto 48 points from their 18 games. Of course, West Brom will have a game advantage now on their title challengers, but it's points on the board that matters. And with the two set to meet tomorrow at 12:45, their only responsibility now is to make sure they win all of their games prior to that. Thank you to all that have joined me for this opening game of the weekend of game week 5 of the 23-24 PTC Therapeutics Premiership. I'll be back very shortly for the following games of the weekend.